Hello YouTube, welcome in. I'm Deo, your local neighbor cat, and today we're gonna be watching Why Are Modern Open World Games So Damn Empty by Radical Cup. Please enjoy.
I'm a big fan of open world games.
Me too!
And I remember when I first launched The
Oh!
Witcher 3 almost
Yeah.
10 years ago, playing it at a very low.
It's already 10 years? This video has 1 year already. Witcher 3 came out 10 years ago? When did Witcher 1 came out? Witcher 1 came out. Oh, I can't even see it. Witcher 1 came out 27. 27. I grew up playing Witcher 1, Witcher 2, and Witcher 3. Oh, I feel like we are so old right now, guys. We are so old already. Oh my god.
Frame rate. And no, the Nintendo Switch hadn't been released yet. I just didn't have a powerful PC. But despite the
Well.
numerous bugs and low FPS, I was fascinated by this game. And all because of an incredible open world that I
Hell
hadn't
yeah.
seen in any previous game. But what's worse, I won't see it in almost every game that follows. Since
Okay, not gonna even lie, okay? Witcher 3 put my expectations on the freaking top, okay? You know all the memes about how people have such a huge standards, right? Witcher 3 gave me huge standards for games, okay? Witcher 3, the game in which basically every region has different prices or different types of food to buy based on this region characteristic, based on this region history. And I think that's based, okay? Witcher 3, the game where every NPC feels alive, where you just randomly galloping through a village and you hear a random children singing a song from the DLC, where you go and you hear a random conversations of villagers or random conversations of random NPCs, and they are always so entertaining. You hear random NPCs throwing jokes at each other, like spilling the tea to each other. Mwah! Witcher 3, GOAT. GOAT, one of my favorite games to this day. I absolutely love it.
Since the release of The Witcher 3, we've seen
Yeah.
dozens of other big open world projects. Some of them were quite good, and we'll
Yeah.
talk about them today, but most of the games were just bad. The game worlds not only remained the same as they were 10 or even 15 years ago,
Blech.
but they degraded. But why? Why did the big game studios that once created new standards for open world games just start creating big maps that made no sense? Why is it that when you play a new Assassin's Creed, Outlaws, Starfield, or almost every new game, you get bored in the beginning and you just force yourself to play on
Yeah.
because you just bought this shit? And this feeling is very different from when you were a kid and you were enthusiastic about exploring the world of Skyrim or the third Fallout. In fact, the degradation of modern open worlds is not due to the greed of large corporations that just want to make a new game quickly to make money. It's also not because modern developers are lazy or incompetent enough because they were hired through the DEI program rather than because of their professional qualifications. In fact, most open world games have degraded so much because game studios, for whatever reason, started making three fundamental mistakes. These problems have started to occur more and more often in the game industry, which personally makes me very worried about the future of open world games. And the first reason is the lack of a meaningful story.
Yeah! Dude! Listen, I never got into like Assassin's Creed and this kind of games, okay? Okay. But I wanted to try them out. And if I want to try out some new series of the games that I didn't play before, I'm gonna be like trying the newest part of the series, right? Just so I can, feel it a tiny bit more, okay? With like, expectations to the graphic and stuff like this. And to hear me out, I tried few different series. I knew nothing about the lore, nothing about what's the objective of the game, nothing. And literally, I felt like the entire lore is so shitty. I felt like in this meme This is so us, you know? That was literally me trying out different games. If the main history is not immersive, I'm just gonna give up because I feel like it's not worth playing it, you know? I feel like those kind of games have a few main scenes, no immersive story, repetitive delivery quest, you know, go there, kill those many random animals or random monsters, or take this to this person, come back with this, or get this item. And number three, it just feels so dead. Like you're just going through a town and literally nothing is going on. Like, yeah, the graphic is amazing, but there's nothing going on. No NPCs! Or NPCs are just like sitting in one position entire freaking day. They ain't even moving out for the night. They ain't going inside for the night. Stuff like this, you know? Those are like small little thingies, but I absolutely hate when this kind of stuff occurs. Like, those are three main stuff, okay? Ugh. I hate it. I absolutely hate it.
The third Witcher had something I hadn't seen in any open world game before. Its entire huge map was filled with deep side quests that developed the plot and the world. Every corner of the open world had its own story, atmosphere, and unique characters. This created the feeling that the vast...
Ooh, the bloody Baron quest! Oh. If you didn't play Witcher 3, you might not understand this ecstasy, okay? You might not understand it. But the bloody Baron quest, I think it was one of the best quests I ever had in game. Not joking, one of the best ones. Literally, literally. I would say it's hard to compare to anything else, but the quest I can think about right now that were similar would be some main character quests in Baldur's Gate 3. Like, really good writing for the character. The thing that you can see the Baron either as a bad, grey, or good character if you messed up. And the fact that you start seeing him as a okay guy, then you see him as an absolute the worst human, and then the game is trying to make him redeem himself, you know, this kind of stuff. Oh, I don't want to spoil. I don't want to spoil. Maybe someone didn't play it. If you guys didn't play it, oh, you need to play it. Even only for this quest. It's pretty easy to get to this quest in Witcher 3, okay? Oh, you definitely need to play it. This one quest, it's so worth it.
Expanses of the continent were not just very beautiful, but also important and alive. But now, we see how Ubisoft can still create a beautiful landscape, but this beautiful picture is devoid of any emotional connection with the player. Why should I give a fuck about beautifully drawn trees if there's nothing to do between those trees? Or the beautiful indeed...
Not even loot! If I say a good environment, I need to loot it! If there's no loot, it's not worth it. If I cannot break into random house in the middle of the night and I cannot loot it, it's not worth it. And it's not worth it if I can loot everything and the guards don't give a F about what I'm doing. It's not worth it then, okay? I need a good quality looting in the game. I'm a loot gremlin.
Detailed landscapes. If I'm forced to do the same thing for the whole game for dozens of hours, which often has nothing to do with the main story. And the story itself is often created just to be there. Previously, we used to play good story-driven games with an open world as a bonus. Now we play an open world that just tries to keep us engaged for more hours, where the bonus is a template plot that no one gives a shit about. For this genre of games, a good story, both main and side stories, must not be just good, but very good. If a new Call of Duty or other game with linear levels has an average story, it won't be a big deal. But in games that intend to engage us for 50 or even 70 hours, you have to give us a story that will grab us and keep us engaged, and not collecting the same collectibles or destroying the same outposts. Unfortunately,
this kind of games make me feel like I ain't playing an open world game. It makes me feel like I'm literally playing a delivery game or something. You know, the only thing you do is going from point A to the point B, and the only thing you do is, oh, you need to kill 5 wolves to collect some 4, to give back to the merchant, to get absolutely nothing. To get 5 eggs, so you can get a level up, and with this level up, you can get 1 more skill, which is gonna be absolutely useless. But you need this 1 level up to finally equip this OP, super duper magical weapon you collected 5 levels ago. I'm raging over this, but it's so annoying. Like, listen, it reminds me of MMORPGs. Like, literally, all the quests that goes like, oh, go there, kill 5 wolves, come back. Oh, go there, destroy this, come back. Oh, do this. Oh, give this to this. Oh, collect this, and stuff like this. It's so annoying. Like, literally. I believe a lot of MMORPGs have way better lore than a lot of these open world games. And it's so annoying, so damn annoying.
this is a big problem for modern open world games. Weak, superficial story, or its almost complete absence. The story is the foundation that unites all the elements of the game, gives it meaning, and motivates the player to explore the world. In the past, games like The Witcher 3 or RDR2 offered players deep, multi-layered stories that affected emotions and created a connection with the characters. But now, we see how developers often sacrifice stories for the sake of scale. A huge world filled with question marks on a map cannot compensate for the lack of a quality story. Once upon a time, Ubisoft was one of those who laid the foundations for this genre. This company was the one that knew how to combine a good adult story with an open world. Even before going bankrupt, Ubisoft had so many good and financially successful franchises that it could easily have become the new Rockstar. But it didn't. The latest games in their Assassin's Creed and Far Cry series are just shameful limitations of their franchises. Behind the slight improvements in graphics, we see a massive degradation in the story.
Bitch, shut the fuck up.
They just don't give an F. They just don't give an F anymore. I feel like the NPCs over the years just started to become like superhumans or something. A weapon, they ain't scared of the weapon. You can even like literally loot them in a daylight and they don't give a F to anything. They're superhumans at this point.
Valhalla has the most boring story in the history of the entire franchise, and at the same time, it is the longest game in the entire Assassin's Creed series. For more than 100 hours, you have to walk around a huge world in which the main story simply dissolves into endless quests of the same type. A weak story and a lot of unnecessary icons on the map make the game boring as hell. Without a clear motivation or emotional involvement, every quest and every location seems empty, even if they are technically filled with content. And this is not just my words full of hatred for Ubisoft, it's simple statistics. More than 40% of Assassin's Creed's Valhalla players didn't even reach England and quit the game right after the prologue. That's 4 fucking hours of game. 4 out of more than 100 hours that thousands of developers have been working on for several years, and which turned out to be useless to anyone. And this happens not only with Assassin's Creed. A quarter of Starfield players couldn't even complete the first mission, even though it's only the first 30 minutes of the game. And only 17% of players completed the first part of the main story of Star Wars Outlaws. Although I don't think that's a lot, considering that 17% of everyone who bought this game is also about 17 people. But still, we see that compared to old games that are replayed from time to time, new games from the same developers become uninteresting for most people at the beginning of the story because of its superficiality and general shitty nature. Stories, both main and side, in modern open world games suck. And why is that? It's pretty damn simple. It's the desire of big publishers to reach a wider audience. Developers create worlds that are aimed at everyone, avoiding complex or risky plots that could lose some players. This—
Okay, hear me out right now, okay? That's also why I love Witcher. Because Witcher is this one of the series. I'm talking both about books and the game. Maybe not about the series, you know, on the Netflix. Maybe not about this one, okay? But Witcher is this one kind of the series. I grew up with The Witcher, okay? So I am really biased. But Witcher world is filled with filthy people, filthy humans, filthy every possible race, basically. It's just filthy. Everyone is backstabbing each other. Everyone is plotting against each other. Everyone is in one way or another racist or stuff like this, you know? It's the kind of world that feels real to you. Because humans are filthy sometimes, okay? And when you see the extreme poverty in some parts of The Witcher, when you see how people in Tucson are living extravagantly, having this kind of the knight role model in their head, stuff like this, right? Like, you see the differences between the regions. You see how this entire world is just filled with naturalism. It just makes you immersed in it because this world just feels way more real. Even if you have magic there, even if you have witches there or monsters there. Just the fact that humans were so biased towards witches, the fact that how they completely hated them, just stuff like this. And how it's just explained to you why do they hate them. It just makes this entire world so real. And I don't know why. I need more games in which you can just see the people being filthy, in which you can just see this naturalism of people just being people, being really judgmental, being a bad morally, grey morally, everything like this. I absolutely love it. I think in Baldur's Gate 3, you could see it if you would play as a drow. But compared to the previous Baldur's Gates, it wasn't that visible anymore. I feel like in Baldur's Gate 3, if you would play as a drow, the only thing you would meet would be just some random dialogues from random characters. Like, I think at it's not gonna be a spoiler because it's still at the beginning, it's just a random dialogue, right? But when you go into the camp of the tieflings, if you play as a drow, I think Zevlor is welcoming you with the words of, I didn't knew someone of your kind would help us, something like this, okay? And I feel like that's the biggest judgment you will feel upon yourself when you play as a drow. And I feel like, I would like a bit more of it, you know? A bit more of this naturalism and hatred towards drows. Let's just say drows are hated for a reason in D&D or fantasy in general.
Is very strange because we see specific examples when a good story could have a relatively empty world. Mafia 2 had a small and static world with minimal interactive elements, but I gave a shit. The story was great.
Yeah!
LA Noire had a big but empty Los Angeles with absolutely nothing to do. Who cares?
Yeah.
It was a good tense detective story. Another great example is Death Stranding. If not for the brilliant story, no one would play this game with its monotonous gameplay and empty open world. And I'm not saying that the story is the most important thing for open world games, but it's definitely the thing that makes the world worthwhile for the player. But the game studios don't give a fuck about the quality of the story. Another fundamental problem is the lack of interactivity, which makes the world alive and, to some extent, realistic. Now I will ask you about something that is very difficult for a person who loves video games. Think about what surrounds you when you go out. No matter how long ago it was, try to remember the sounds, smells, people, and cars.
It's everything that I don't want to remember.
Hundreds of thousands of details surround us in the real world, and you can interact with all these details. Everything has a meaning. Now, look at what open worlds in video games often try to surprise us with. The same thing porn actors do, with a large size. But why do we need a large size if
We're so not ready for this joke.
if there's nothing to do there. Developers, such as the fucking Ubisoft, often fill their words with a lot of secondary content, useless collectibles, outposts, and meaningless quests that just repeat throughout the game. But none of this gives us true interactivity. Even though we have to spend dozens of hours on useless grind, it doesn't change anything in the game world. Just remember what interactivity looks like in Rockstar games, and it's important to understand that I'm not talking about side quests here. In RDR2, we had main story quests and side story quests for characters that stretched for over several separate missions, creating separate story arcs. But in addition to all of this, we also had random events that had nothing to do with either the main story or the side storylines. And that's
what makes it all alive! That's what we need! We need more random stuff going around! More random events! Yes!
Small and random stories were also a great way to make the open world more alive. Every time you rode your horse from one mission to the next, you would encounter some motherfuckers who wanted to rob you, or who were just going about their business that affected you and the game world. NPCs behaved as if they were living their own lives independently of the player. And the main thing is that the game allows you to interact with it. That's why most open world games feel empty and predictable, even though they're filled with NPCs or all sorts of unnecessary activities. It all is that Ubisoft's game development model has somehow become the standard for the industry. Other studios started adding similar mechanics to their games. This can be seen in Horizon Zero Dawn or Cyberpunk 2077, where most of the activities seem to be content for content's sake. A lot of question marks, but do you really need them? As a result, the open world genre loses value, becoming more of a tedious task than an exciting experience. Of course, nobody wants to copy the Rockstar model, when the entire map is dotted with details and interactive zones because it took you decades to develop the game. But still, why do we need a big world if there is nothing to do with it? But this is not even the main problem with open worlds in modern games. The main problem is the lack of attention developers pay to other aspects of the game. For whatever reason, game studios have started to give a fuck about gameplay.
Wait. Was it really like this? Or is it fake? I need to know right now. Was it?
New mechanics and optimization. Maps are getting bigger and bigger and bigger. But is it enough?
No.
Modern developers. Okay, maybe it would be better to say their bosses, or rather the publishers who give them the money to develop games. So these cocksuckers in suits are not interested in making sure that you have a good time in their next game. They are interested in making sure that you have a lot of time. Think about it logically. Will a horse's balls getting smaller in the cold increase the number of hours it takes to complete a game? Of course not. Are the intricate detective stories that are scattered all over the map and which are too complicated for the average Assassin's Creed fan? Also no. Firstly, great attention to detail and the creation of interesting mechanics requires a high level of creativity, which the developers certainly do not have. And secondly, over the years, we see how players are simply comfortable doing the same thing throughout the game just to be able to move on with the plot. That is why the industry is stagnant. Why
So annoying. Like, listen, for how many hours you can do the exactly same thing, okay? We ain't talking about sleep, we're talking about moving in a video game and just doing basically nothing. You cannot say that doing a random quest in a game that requires, like, literally no thinking from you means anything to you. To me, it means nothing. It's not a daily in Uma Musume that I will get carrots so I can pull for more cute horse girls, okay? It's not a quest that will teach me something or show me something more about the world or let me know some random new character like the grandma with a pan in Witcher 3, okay? It's not like going to the cemetery in Baldur's Gate 3 and seeing the grave of I think of a father of this guy who is saying, "Open the bloody gate!" With a text on it, "Open the bloody gate." Like, it sounds random, but there's this kind of small stuff that makes it feel like it is worth playing. It is worth to put and invest your own time. Why do we bother doing one thing over and over and over again? After doing 3 same kind of quests, I am already bored of all of them. Not gonna even lie to you.
Change if it works this way. Every year we get the same game but in a different package. The same mechanics, the same story, the same gameplay.
No, okay, but hear me out. I don't get why do people keep buying games like games about cars that come out every 1, 2, or 3 years, and it's literally all the same, but I don't even know what changes in them. A new graphic, I suppose. Or the FIFA, yeah, FIFA is a good example of it. I absolutely don't get why people are still like buying them. Because like literally the old ones have literally the same stuff. Maybe, I don't know, a bit less cost or something. I absolutely don't get why people keep buying those new games that are basically 1-to-1, exactly the same as the previous one. It's like if every new year there would be a new League of Legends, but you need to pay for it, and you would pay for it. It's still the same game. It's still the League of Legends, you know? How did I took League of Legends into it? Cars are cool though. I'm not judging you for playing cars. I'm judging for buying the exactly same game every year. Like, literally. If you're like buying every new FIFA, every new EA sport game, every new car game that comes out every year, I am judging. It makes no sense to my brain. Why would you spend the money on it when it's literally the same? I need one good reason behind it. Maybe it's because I'm from like, I'm never like, I always thinking few times before I'm gonna get any kind of game, right? But why? Why would you get it? I just don't get it. It feels like a waste of money to me.
Only a different environment. Also, other aspects of the game can suffer when developers deliberately move to the open world. What do I mean by that? In the gaming industry, there have been cases when a franchise switched to open world gameplay and other content suffered in order to support this very large open world. A good example of this is the Mafia series. I like this series. The first and second Mafia had fairly small maps. In fact, it's just one city where plot events take place.
Yeah.
But absolutely nothing happens in this city. Yes, there are small interactions, you can customize a character or rob something, but mostly because there is nothing to do on the map. You just move through the story and hardly pay attention to anything else. So we can say that there is no open world in the game as such. But when Mafia 3 came out, something changed. We see some new patterns that were not inherent in the first 2 parts but rather resembled traditional open world game mechanics. Most likely, Hangar 13 developers paid attention to Ubisoft's working model of open worlds when developing this game. Open world.
Sheesh, but did you see that sunshine on the water?
Developers paid attention to Ubisoft.
Sheesh. Sheesh. I don't know why, but it randomly impressed me.
Ubisoft's working model of open worlds when developing this game. Open world games are in high demand, and ordinary companies see it as an easy way to increase sales. That is why they put territory capture, collecting unnecessary stuff, and other traditional Ubisoft mechanics into their games. But the more time developers spend on making the world bigger and more similar to other franchises, the less time they have for other aspects of the gameplay. That's why Mafia 3 is so different from its predecessors. Instead of focusing on just a good linear story, we got a buggy Far Cry with territory capture, which also looked bad. The creators of Mafia 3 decided not to imitate their predecessors, but to direct the franchise into the standard open world model, which, firstly, bored everyone, and secondly, does not suit the series at all, with its deep criminal plot that does not overload with unnecessary activities. As a result, we got a shitty Mafia 3 and bankrupted Ubisoft. And you know, I was quite pleasantly surprised when I saw the trailer for the next Mafia. It looks like the series is going back to its roots. The location will be in Sicily. I don't think it will be a big map. Most likely, it will be a linear game with a good dramatic plot that will take 10 to 12 hours to complete, everything we liked about the first two Mafias. However, this franchise is not the only one that suffered because the developers wanted to clumsily switch to the open world model. We can see how the approach to mission creation is changing in the latest Call of Duty games. And you can call me a shithead, but I really prefer the usual levels where we stupidly go from point A to point B, killing NPCs at the same time. I don't see Call of Duty as a multi-layered masterpiece of the gaming industry. For me, it's more like another Michael Bay movie where everything explodes. There's a cliched plot about tough guys and gameplay that doesn't require any thinking. But I just recently finally finished the Black Ops 6 story campaign, and I see how Raven Software is trying to move away from the typical model of the series. And yes,
Okay, you may judge me, but I never play any of the COD games. I never played any of them. I don't know why, but I feel like they were maybe they weren't popular in my circles, but I feel like they weren't really popular in Poland in general. Like, I know a lot of people who are into characters from Call of Duty, but I don't know if I know personally anyone who played the game. It sounds so weird to say it, okay? I know a lot of people who wish they could marry one few characters from this game, but I don't know personally anyone who played the game itself.
they managed to do something new. Most of the game takes place on large maps, and sometimes very large, as in one of the missions in the desert. But for me personally, these were the worst levels. You drive around the desert, just doing the same thing. It looks like Activision just wanted to artificially increase the game's time. Since they received a lot of hate for the last part, they decided not to create more levels, but just to make them long and boring, because it's cheaper and much faster. Of course, we can't say that Call of Duty is now an open world game, but if that ever really happens, oh man, I think it will be terrible. So open world games are dying, and it sounds very paradoxical because every year there are more and more of them, and a large audience still plays this genre, but all these projects are the same. They have no authenticity, and developers just make the same mistakes. So, I spilled a lot of shit, but I didn't offer anything. How do I see the solution to this problem? Well, it's very simple. First, stop making big maps. Nobody needs them. If you can't fill them with good content, just don't make them. The next thing is NPCs. Successful open worlds like Red Dead Redemption 2 show that NPCs can create the illusion of a living environment. They have to react to the player's actions, have their own things to do, and remember if the player has done certain things. It should not be like Far Cry 6, where NPCs are just static decorations that repeat the same actions, which quickly kills the sense of reality. Also, dear game creators, start creating normal side quests. A good example is The Witcher 3. I still remember a side quest where I had to go in search of a missing man.
Oh no. I think we had this quest. We did it on stream and I was crying on it. Oh no.
And a normal quest turned into a whole story about loss and revenge. Also, take care of the rewards. Collecting dozens of unnecessary 3D models and boxes is not interesting. I'm reminded of Mafia 2 when you had to find all the Playboy posters on the map. It was appropriate. You collect all the posters that you can then jerk off to. It's a good mechanic. And if this sounds too much for you, you can remember The Last of Us, where we collected cards with superheroes in different locations or something like that. I explored every nook and cranny, and I really wanted to find them, because there was a story behind these cards. The writers first explained to us the importance of these cards, and then I wanted to find them all myself because it was important for the characters and their world. It wasn't just another achievement to complete the game 100%, it was part of the story. And finally, my dear developers, please find a balance between scale and content. If the publisher is greedy and doesn't give you the funds to create a big and good game, just make a good one. We don't need big open worlds. We need good open worlds.
Yeah. Oh,
Do you remember when you first...
I collected another video by accident. I'm so sorry. But you know, I feel like if there is no good world or universe to begin with, it's hard to make a good open world game out of it. Like, if there's a solid base, I would say it's a bit easier. to make a good game out of it, because you already can kinda imagine the lore, or it's a bit more simple to come out with a lore and interesting side quests and interesting interactions than when you have no world to even base the game on, okay? And I feel like a lot of the games kinda struggle with it. I feel like there's a lot of worlds, a lot of universes that are really interesting to see, but because of how the game got developed, I feel like the entire world seems really uninteresting. And I think that's a big issue in my opinion. It is what it is. But now, thank you for watching this one with me. Was I fangirling over Witcher too hard? I think I was. But every time when I see Witcher, I need to do it. It's my duty. It's my duty to do it. But once again, thank you so much for watching this one with me. Do 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 do.